Well, good evening, folks. Hey, a great day weather-wise, hot and fine, and Mark says there tonight, Thursday's going to be the same. Civil Defence briefing this morning, and of course it's winding down at present, which is a great thing. Then I had some discussions with a couple of employers who are considering their future options, and it's not looking too good. But had a discussion with a company looking at re-establishment of a processing facility on the coast. About 40 jobs projected. Bit of a long way to go, but the deal feels like it's got good bones. So I'm a bit enthusiastic about that. Now, really annoyed about the way that Sounds Air is getting the runaround by government. It's the lifeblood of Westport. And when you see government pumping $900 million into Air New Zealand within 7 days, you have to ask the question why it's taken nearly 7 weeks to even get some discussions going. And they're no closer. Tell you what, I'll be very frustrated if they roll over. Now, the second tranche of funding from government for the GP practices hasn't been paid. Now, the first tranche was paid in 2 lots. The second one, government's reneged on. They're having no problem at all funding DHB-owned practices, but if it's private, it's a problem. And it's not good enough, and need to get to the bottom of it. Is anyone else out there around the country having the same problem? You know, we've been advised that there's 120 high-paying jobs in the gold mining sector, and these can happen right away. All we need to do is sort out some access with DOC and in relation to stewardship land. You know, talk about economic stimulus, you won't get better than that. The Waitāha Power Scheme, it's on stewardship land. You know, makes you think. Stevenson's mine up at Tukua just needs access via stewardship land. And that's 50 jobs, and the coal pre-sold. The access between Stockton and Denniston, which can extend the life of the mine up there by over 30 years, is on stewardship land. And it's been held up now for well over 10 years. It's just disgraceful. We've got to get a head round our economy. Now, I want to finish off by talking about work schemes. We're told that workers from the tourism sector who will end up unemployed could be employed cutting tracks and doing work, planting trees on dock projects. Stuff says they want $1 billion for it. I would suggest that whoever is pushing this is a wage taker and not a wage maker. You know, this was tried in the days of Cave Creek when the platform was built. And we don't want to do it again. You know, the problem with borrowing money and building tracks is that you're carrying out an action that has no short or medium term benefit to New Zealand. You know, upgrading tracks, planting on stewardship land should be a no-go until it's evaluated, because most of it will be production. Building tracks creates an ongoing cost to New Zealand to maintain them, and the use will be limited. We'd be better off digging holes in the beach as a work scheme. At least the tide will come in, fill the holes up, and taxpayers won't be left with the liability to refill the holes. Now, this government's borrowing money to pay benefits and work schemes, and it should be focusing those on the productive sector to get a payback in the short or medium term. The reason's straightforward. Improve the asset base and profitability of a primary producer, and he'll pay more taxes, which the country can then use to repay debt. We're going to need it. Government could offer labour teams at no cost to every farmer in New Zealand to plant riparian strips. Government should even supply the plants, or they could do other work that will enhance the productive and environmental capacity of the farm. Our forestry sector needs trees, and the government's on the right track here. Let's plant trees in areas where timber processing occurs. The coast is one of those areas where we have processing and now a shortage of logs. We have vast areas of stewardship land and borderline uneconomic farmland, which could support a large-scale planting investment. Government could produce labour teams for any producer that produces fruit, vegetables for New Zealand Inc. as export income. Cycleways, cycleway construction, cycleway maintenance. Once again, adding value that will stay long term. Well, been a big day for me today, coasters. Always good to catch up, and have a great night. Stay in your bubble. As always, stay safe. Catch you later.